Hi, welcome to Momentum Mondays. This is Phoenix, the College Success Professor, for our second edition of Momentum Mondays. So happy to be here. Today's topic is money and college. So let's get into it. I have a little bit of a variety of things that I want to talk about with regard to money and college. It's such an important topic, and one of the, I would say, five reasons or ways that students don't get to complete college. So it's really important, and there's a lot going on in the media. I did a couple of posts with regard to there was an NPR story on, after college decision day happens, students are excited about all the colleges that they got into, but the next step is the most important step is like, how are you going to pay for it? It was actually one story about a student who got accepted to Morehouse. I did link it on my page. The student got accepted to Morehouse, but after they did the financial aid award letter, his out-of-pocket expenses or his parents' out-of-pocket expenses are going to be like $30,000. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about short-term things that you need to be doing if you are, in fact, a parent of a high school student who's soon to be a college student going to college. We're going to talk about long-term implications, because as we know, college is not just 1 year, it's 4 years or more. And we're going to talk about lifelong implications of money and college. So hopefully we'll get to all of that in this college Momentum Monday. So if you do have questions, definitely put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. But like I said, there's a lot to cover and a lot that is involved with college and money. So first thing, the financial aid award letter is likely the factor that was used when you were making your decision about what college to go to. However, that's not the final step in the process. That's just your information about the amount of money that the college is giving you, the amount of money that you can take out in loans, the amount of money that they're giving you in grants, scholarships, things like that, and also possibly work study. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So after you have sent in your deposit or sent in your confirmation for the college, there's still things that you have to do with regard to the financial aid part of college. So one thing is that you have to actually accept the awards that you were given in terms of loans, in terms of grants, in terms of work study, things like that. There is a big there's a well-known fact that sometimes the financial aid award letter can be difficult or challenging to read. There has been talk, I don't know if there has been legislation tried with regard to standardizing across all institutions, making the financial aid award letter a little bit more clear and easy to read. But a lot of times sometimes things are listed as you're not quite sure if it's a grant or if it's a loan. So there's lack of clarity with regard to that. There's lack of clarity with regard to how much you're paying, how much the university is giving you. So sometimes you actually need to ask specific questions from your financial aid office about what all this means and decide whether you're going to accept. There's unsubsidized loans, there's subsidized loans. There's a lot of financial jargon, financial literacy terms and things that may be confusing to a lot of different people. So one of the first things that needs to happen after you have accepted your college's acceptance is to make sure that your financial aid is in order. A lot of schools do something called verification, which means they want to verify that the information that you put on your documents, your FAFSA, is correct. So they need a copy of your tax return or your parents' tax return. So that's one thing that can hold up the financial aid process. Also, like I said, you have to actually accept the loans and the things that you were given. There's also a need for you to make sure that, just give me 1 second. I'm not sure. My mic is, staticky. Sorry, I'm getting some help today. So maybe I am wearing two mics, so I don't know which one is staticky. Instagram is staticky. All right, so I am using a wireless mic, actually. So, all right, so I will maybe unplug that one and then I'll just talk louder and we'll try a different one next week. All right, so sorry, pause, technical difficulties. And actually, maybe because it fell, because it was clicked here. Maybe because it was over here. Maybe because it's on. All right, let's try it again. It is blinking. Try it again, and let's try to see if we can work on it again. And if not, then we will just project. All right, so as I was saying, yes. So as I was saying, so you want to make sure that you are accepting the award on your financial aid. There's also usually some signatures that are needed. It's called a master promissory note to accept the loans. And one thing that I wanted to say about the work study amount, so if you are awarded work study on your financial aid application, that is sometimes confusing because that is not necessarily money that you automatically get. In order to get work study money, you have to actually get a work study job on campus or however your college works. So and that money, when you earn it, for example, in my office at the university, we hire work study students. We have tutors, we have front office receptionists, we have a bunch of different student employees. So when a student works in our office, or if you have a job at an on-campus office at your school, you actually earn the money. You get a regular paycheck every 2 weeks. And that money doesn't go to your bill, to your tuition, to your fees. You get paid that money. If you want to save that money and apply it to your bill or apply it to something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, the gap between your financial aid and what you actually still have to pay, you can do that. But work study is often very confusing because it can be on your financial aid award letter, but it's not necessarily going directly to your bill. It's not necessarily something that's going to automatically reduce your thing. If you are making an intentional decision to apply the money that you earn from your work study job to your bill or to your tuition, you can do that, but it's not an automatic thing. So short term, you want to make sure that your money is good for the upcoming semester. This is why. So when you go to college, your first semester, you sometimes have a gap. Oh, interesting. Now the Facebook mic is not working. All right, so college. Oops, I just hit mute. Let me see if I can fix that one. It says it's working, but it's not. Oh, it's staticky. All right, so just take out that one, and maybe I can't use both of them at the same time. Maybe that's the problem. All right, so what we will try to do, you can check it again. What we will try to do is we want to make sure that when you have, for example, the example that I gave earlier, the student that I was talking about from Morehouse, or who wanted to go to Morehouse, he did get some money from Morehouse. He did get a couple of grants or what have you from Morehouse. But if you count all the loans and the tuition, so if you count the tuition, the fees, the room, the board, you total all of that up, and you get the amount of money, the loans that he got, the grants that he got, the aid that he got, there was still a $30,000 difference between all the grant and all the aid that he received and the final bill. So that's what's called in the industry the gap. So when that happens, you can still go to the, they're still going to let you come to the university. They're still going to let you come to the college. And the way financial aid works is that you have a fall semester and you have a spring semester. So when you have your loans, when you have your grants, when you have all of your aid from the university, that's divided in half for fall semester and spring semester. However, when you have a gap of, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, you're still expected to pay that. And when you don't pay that, you can get late fees, you can get holds on your account, which is one of the ways that students kind of stop going to college. So you can go for the fall semester, you can go for the fall semester, and you can be successful in the fall semester. Okay, great. So I bought some new mics, and apparently they're not working up to par. So I'm sorry if your sound is not good, but I will try to do something different next time. Actually, there is the old microphone should be in there. Could you bring that on the couch somewhere? So what you can do is you can, I forgot what else. Forgot my train of thought. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that when you are going to college, you are able to figure out if there's a gap of as little as 500 or as much as 3,000 or $30,000. How are you going to pay that off? Because what will happen is in the middle of the fall semester, you actually in the middle of the fall semester, I'm going to change out this microphone for the other microphone, and hopefully the sound will get better. So a minute. And I'm still going to keep talking because I am very close to the to the to the. Oh, I need the dongle. Do you see the dongle? Do I got the dongle? White dongle. I must have had it. Could you? Oh, okay. So many technical difficulties. I tried to do something different this week. So the sound should be better with this one because this is my old one. I got some new ones and they don't quite fit. So Facebook should be good now. If you could go test and make sure. So you want to make sure that you not to get a hold on your account, which was the main point. You don't want to make sure are not going to get a hold on your account, which will prevent you from registering for your spring semester. And when that happens, if you do get a hold and you're not able to pay off whatever the amount is that you need in order to register, then you will not be able to register and you will only have one semester, your fall semester worth of credits and classes, and you won't be able to come back to the university. So that's one of the ways. So if you know that you're going to a university, if you and your family have made the decision and you have a large balance like that example from the student from Morehouse, or you don't have that much of a balance, you just want to make sure that by the time registration comes along, and if you don't necessarily want those late fees, which will also add to your balance, you want to make sure that you're going to have a way, a method, a system of paying it off. Sometimes parents get loans. Sometimes maybe you can figure something out, pull some money with your family, but making that financial decision without a plan for how you're actually going to pay the balance. I know a lot of students have dream schools, like Morehouse is a lot of students' dream schools, dream college, but they, if you are, unfortunately, the way universities fund students is that you really have to be what they call Pell eligible. So you have to be very low income in order to get at many universities a lot of money, unless you're like a really top tier student where you're able to, get really, okay, so maybe it's the Facebook network. So it's still a little bit staticky. So bear with me. Information is still good. So definitely you want to make sure that you have a plan for paying the balance. So that's the short term. That's the short term information that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of. You need to make sure that your work study money that you're awarded from work study is, if you are planning to use that towards your balance. Like I said, if you have that large balance, you do that. That means you need to be intentionally putting that money aside every time you get paid. Or if it's not necessarily something that you need to pay your balance, you need to decide, parents, families decide whether your child, whether they have work study or not. Just because you have work study means that you can, get federal monies paying to pay you for an on-campus job, but you can have an on-campus job and not have work study. So if you and your family, or you decide that you want to work while you're on campus, then that's definitely something that you can do. The recommendation is that students don't work more than 20 hours because that can take away from your grades, take away from your studying. So if you want to find an on-campus job, actually studies do show that if you do have under 20 hours of work study job, does help you to get better connected to the university, does help you with being successful in college. So are you going to work on camp during the semester? Are you not going to work during the semester? One of the things that parents sometimes think is you don't want to overwhelm the student and have them doing too many things that'll detract from their grades. That's up to them. I don't think I worked, I did not work my first semester. However, I had a college on-campus job, like I think maybe my junior year or senior year in college, actually a couple of different jobs, but that's a story for another time. So what you can do is you can get an on-campus job, or another option is that you can have a summer job now and save the money that you would need in order to pay for your textbooks and things like that. So that comes to the other thing that's a part of short-term planning. when you, as a parent, are sending your child off to college, if they do not have additional money, you need to discuss like what's going to happen when they need to get their hair done, what's going to happen when they are invited to go out with their friends. Like, how are they going to have spending money? Because, college is more than just the tuition and fees. There are other things, textbooks, there are other expenses, traveling back home for visits, or just traveling to go on a trip with a friend. There are a lot of different reasons why you would need money in college. So how are we going to handle that? Are you just going to cash out the money when they need it? Which I don't recommend, because that can get expensive. They need to have a budget. You all need to decide how much per semester is going to be needed, how much, etc. So that's a discussion that needs to happen before you actually go off. So you're not caught off guard. They're not caught off guard with regard to the amount of money that they actually need in order to, order takeout, order DoorDash, go out. They need an Uber sometimes when they're going maybe to a party, or to like restaurant week or something like that at the university. So that's an important thing to consider. All right, so that's the short term. I think that was everything for short term planning. Now, long term planning is more of the value of college, the importance of making sure that you are getting out in 4 years, because that is another reason or thing that people don't consider. The longer it takes for you to get your degree, and making sure that you get your degree, is going to ultimately determine the value of your degree. Also, your major is going to determine the value of your degree. So when you have to stop for a semester, or take a semester off for a number of reasons, it can be the financial reason, it could be the academic reason. Maybe you lost your scholarship, which financial and academic can be tied. It could be a disciplinary reason, it could be a mental health reason, personal reason. So the longer it takes for you to get your degree, the myth is that it takes 4 years to get a college degree. Over time, that has been extended. I believe the average is about 5 years. So maybe 4 years and a couple of semesters. So the longer it takes for you to get your degree, the more obviously it's going to cost you with regard to every semester. There's tuition due. Also, every semester that you're not working in a job, earning income, is going to determine or affect you financially. So those are the things that we need to consider as well. So having a plan, not only with regard to which you're going to be taking academically each semester, making sure you're taking the right combination of classes. And there'll be another session where I'll go more in depth about the academic part of college and making sure that you're on track with that. But your academic degree, making sure that that academic degree is going to translate into a specific career. And when I talk about getting a return on your educational investment, because we know college is an investment of your money, you want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, doing your research, so that you know exactly how much, or about how much you're going to be making based off of, I'm getting a degree in political science because I want to, maybe go into politics, or even maybe go to law school or things like that. What is your plan? How does your academic major help you to get to your long-term career goals, long-term graduate school goals? Actually, I've found this from the Georgetown Center for Education and Workforce. This statistic that, when you ask people, why do they want to go to college, they say to get a good job. And so they actually have a definition of what a good job is. And so let me find that here. So according to Georgetown Center for Education and the Workforce, I'm just trying to find a place where I can put this so it doesn't get in the way. A good job, I have it here somewhere. Okay, here it is. So a good job, let me get my glasses on. A good job is one that pays a minimum of approximately $3,800 in 2020. So there has been inflation since, so you can add inflation. Dollars for workers younger than 45, and a minimum of approximately $49,000 for workers aged 45 and older. So this was a report from Georgetown Center for Education and the Workforce with regard to how much they consider and it depends on where you live too. Obviously, that amount in New York City is not going to be the same as that amount in like Alabama. So making sure that you are doing the research. So when you do the research, you can look on payscale.com. There are a bunch of different websites that you can check on, like what's the average wage for a person in a specific industry, in a specific region. So you can do that research, and you want to make sure that you are getting the value out of your degree, making sure that you're getting the value, getting a good return on your educational investment. And actually, when you are making sure that you're taking out your loans, you want to make sure that what they say is you should not borrow more than the cost of your first year salary. Usually you don't, because federal limits with regard to, well, if you're only taking out federal loans, you can take out private loans as well. Don't recommend it, but you don't want to take out more than what you're expected to earn that first year of college. And there are some students who are, even in that same NPR article, there was a student who did get accepted to a university, but she did not want to take out any loans. And so I don't know what, it didn't, give the story, but the student did not want to take out any loans. And basically she couldn't go to college if she didn't take out loans. So I don't know what she's going to do. So there is value in taking out loans. You just need to take out an amount that you would be realistically able to pay back. So not taking out loans can also set you back, because if you don't end up getting a degree, then that could affect your future with regard to job prospects and possibilities. So those are the things that I definitely wanted to discuss. I just want to look at my notes real quick to make sure I didn't skip anything that I wanted to talk about. So we talked about, just a review, we talked about making sure that you're getting a good return on your investment, making sure that when you are making sure that you're securing your plans for next semester, you're making sure your paperwork is in order, your awards have been accepted. If you need to send in your taxes for verification, you did that. If you're accepting your student loans, maybe you're accepting only unsubsidized loans, or maybe only subsidized loans, making sure you're accepting all that, making sure that if there is a difference, meaning you still owe money after all of your loans are dispersed, you have a plan for paying that back, so you don't have a hold, which will prevent you from registering, which will set you back a semester possibly. So making sure all of that is in place, making sure those additional costs like textbooks, social events, travel, all the things that you will, grooming, all the things that you're going to need to maintain your normal standard of living or life, all of that is covered. So that's the short-term information and short-term things that you need to make sure that are in place before you actually go to college. And then long-term, you want to make sure, or try to make sure, that you are being intentional with regard to your major, with regard to your plan for, and plans change, things change, but you want to make sure that you are borrowing enough money to make sure that you're covered, but not too much money, meaning that you're not able to pay back the money, that you're not able to be successful and weighed on by debt, because maybe you do need to go to graduate school based on your career goals. You need to factor that in. How much does graduate school cost? How is that going to impact you in your career? Because you can take out additional money for grad school, but going to grad school and coming out making $30,000 is not necessarily a good idea. But if you go to grad school and you wind up, having a more lucrative or beneficially paying career, then that makes sense. So making your decisions intentionally and strategically is important. We also talked about whether you're going to work while you're in school, whether you're going to work before, so you can save up the money you need in order to pay for all the things that you need when you go to school. All of that is going to be important. So that is all that I had for you all today. Sorry, the sound was crazy. We'll see. What we did, try a new software this week, so maybe that had something to do with it. So we'll try something new again next week. I know last week the sound on Facebook was because I didn't have two microphones, so we'll see. We'll get it together. This is just the second episode of Momentum Mondays. So like I said, if you found this information valuable, if you're watching this on a replay, hit replay. If you do have questions about money and college, definitely let me know. The last point that, and I'll look at my notes again, last point that I wanted to make sure to talk about was the scholarship factor. So for students who already have their award letter for their freshman year, Usually what happens is if you are trying to use scholarships to help you pay for that gap that I was talking about, usually the university will try to recalculate your loan package or your financial aid package. So that's not necessarily always a good thing. You need to actually talk to the university about if they accept outside awards, if they accept stacked scholarships, things like that, because the financial aid process can be very complicated. And so what you can do if you are planning for the future is, because scholarships are available throughout all your entire time in college, so you want to start planning and being more strategic about, okay, if you know you have, a $500 gap or $1,000 gap or $10,000 gap, like what can you do for future semesters to help you pay it? Many schools also have a payment plan. So if there's a monthly payment that you and or your family can do to help make sure that that cost is decreased by the time it is for you to return for the next semester or return for the next year, that's definitely a thing. So you need to communicate with your financial aid office, communicate with the people on your campus to see how, in fact, you can make sure that this is a financially good investment for you, that this is something that you can do. Because one of the worst things, and I think this is the last point that I'm going to make, one of the worst things that happens is that students go to college for one semester, or even more than one semester. They go into debt, meaning they take out these loans, but they don't get a degree. That can be very detrimental. So you have the debt of paying for an education, but you don't have the diploma. So again, it is usually a 4-year or more process. So making sure that you can sustain the payments over those 4 years, making sure that you have a plan in place to make sure that you'll be able to actually get your degree is going to be very important for you to be successful, for you to have a good return on your educational investment. So this is Phoenix, the College Success Professor. I just want to look at my notes one more time because I did write a bunch of things down that I wanted to make sure I prepared for you all. But I think I did cover everything. Yep, I think I did cover everything. And like I said, if you do have any other questions or topics, this one note, I'll end with that, I think. If you do have any questions or topics that you want me to cover, next time we're going to be talking about communication and making sure that as a parent, you are communicating with your child your expectations, that everything is clear, that because, when students go off to college, they're independent, or they're more independent than they are at home. You don't always know what's going on. So making sure that communication is open and honest and truthful, and that everybody's making a decision that's in the best interest of the student is going to be important. So we're going to be talking about communication, having those hard conversations or difficult conversations before leaving, and having some, accountability for students with regard to making sure that they're not, wasting money, because that often does happen with regard to sometimes when students go off to college in that transition process. So the last thing, the little note that I saw was thinking about kind of the same thing when I was talking about the longer it takes you to graduate, the longer it takes for you to get your degree. So sometimes students don't necessarily formally stop going to college, but another way that students can waste money when they go to college is when you withdraw from a class or you fail the class and you have to take it over. That's another way you can waste money because depending on, like I said, when I said sometimes it takes people more than 4 years, that could be why, because you failed too many classes and you have to retake them for your degree, or you withdrew or dropped a class. And withdrawing from a class means that in college you can do this. You can take a class and then you feel like you're failing, or maybe you're struggling with some other issues. Maybe you want to take a reduced course load. You've already paid for the class. So in order to get a certain amount of credits, which you needed to either go to the next class or to graduate, you have to make sure that you're retaking it. So sometimes people take another class in the summer. Sometimes people take a overload of credits, but that can also, if it makes you not be able to graduate in 4 years, that's another way that students waste money or can lose money in college. So that is all. I think I am going to stop here because we're at the 30-minute mark. And I will see you next week for Momentum Mondays. And thanks for watching. Like I said, if you enjoyed, if you have questions, comment below. If you think someone should see this that you know and love, definitely send this off to them. Invite them. I am here every Monday at 7:30 from College Momentum Mondays. I'm Phoenix, the College Success Professor, helping you to get the best return on your educational investment. See you next time.